Welcome everybody, how's it going? It's the Mockman. Not much going on tonight, but AI versus human. Talking about different stuff with that. Unless you guys have a topic you guys want to talk about, just chilling tonight. Hope everybody's having a good night. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Hell yeah.
There was that whole idea, what if we were just a brain in a vat? This often posed by philosophers. Except we are a brain in a vat. That vat is our skull. Everything that you perceive, feel, hear, think, it's all action potentials. It's all just, it's neural spikes. And it feels so real. It feels very real. These are all impulses from neurons.
Hey,
What's
how's
called
it going?
a spike.
In the past century, quantum mechanics revolutionized our understanding of physical reality at atomic scales, while
Very
general
good night.
relativity did the same for our understanding of reality at large scales. There is a growing number of scientists who think that nature itself is the result of quantum computation. According to them, the world would, in the last instance, be rooted in physics, particularly quantum mechanics, and would reflect the properties of elementary particles and fundamental forces. Some contemporary world perspectives approach objects and physical laws in terms of information and computation, to which they assign subsequent responsibility for the complexity in our world, including responsibility for complex mechanisms and phenomena such as life. One such world perspective held by many computer scientists and philosophers is the simulation hypothesis, which provides that all of reality, including the Earth and the rest of the universe, could in fact be an artificial simulation. Some versions rely on the development of a simulated reality, a proposed technology that would be able to convince its inhabitants that the simulation was real. The idea that we are living in a simulated reality may seem unconventional and irrational to many of us, but it is a belief shared by some of the brightest minds of our time. If you analyse the history of video games, there is a clear innovation curve in the quality of games.
Like say 40 years ago, you had video games. The most advanced video game would be like Pong, where you had like two rectangles and a dot. And you're like batting it back and forth. And that was like, wow, that was a pretty fun game at the time. But now you can see a video game that's photorealistic, almost photorealistic, and millions of people playing simultaneously. And you see where things are going with virtual reality and augmented reality. And if you extrapolate that out into the future with any rate of progress at all, like even 0.1% or something like that a year, then eventually those games will be indistinguishable from reality. They'll be so realistic, you will not be able to tell the difference between that game and the reality as we know it. And then it seems like, well, how do we know that that didn't happen in the past? And that we're not in one of those games ourselves?
Augmented, virtual and mixed reality technologies are evolving rapidly and becoming more powerful by the day. However, they are still easily distinguished from the experience of actuality. Participants are never in doubt about the nature of what they experience. To create immersive experiences that are VR and mixed reality require complex scenes rendered at very high frame rates. So, based on the current rate of progress, in 50 years, or even 100 years, VR could become indistinguishable from reality. A gamer could immerse themselves in a simulated setting and may at some point find it difficult to distinguish reality from fiction. The gamer would become so immersed in the fictional reality that they do not realise they are simply a character in a simulation. That leads us to an ultimate question. Are we living in a simulated universe? Ray Kurzweil claims that in the future, we could be able to simulate the human intelligence as original as the real thing. So when that happens, there won't be a difference between a simulation and our reality. In the future, we could merge with an AGI, which would enable limitless possibilities, one being that we will be able to create a whole new universe. In theory, our whole universe could have been created by some super intelligence, and it's quite plausible that our universe is a computer simulation.
Sometimes I talk about we'll be able to simulate human intelligence, and then some philosophers come and say, well, that's a simulation and that's not the real thing. And if you simulate something as precise as the original thing, I don't think actually there is a difference. This universe could have been created by some super intelligence in another universe. So maybe our whole universe is a junior high school science experiment of some super intelligent junior high school student in another universe.
According to Kurzweil, we are just information structures. You could argue and say that there are molecules and atoms that make you up, but in reality, depending on what cell it is, it turns over in 2 weeks. The parts of the neurons change over very quickly, so we are completely different molecules and cells that we were just 2 weeks ago. However, we are not completely different information. Elon Musk also supports the idea that we are living in a computer simulation. According to him, there's a 1,000,000 to 1 chance we're living in base reality.
I mean, there's some interesting things here on the virtual reality front. I mean, just on the whole notion of a simulation, which is that if you extrapolate into the future and say, well, how good, let's say, will video games be in 100 or 200 or 1,000 years from now? If there's continued improvement and you're in a full body haptic suit with a sort of surround vision, and it becomes beyond a certain resolution indistinguishable from reality. And there are likely to be millions, maybe billions of such simulations. So then, what are the odds that we're actually in base reality? Isn't it 1 in billions? What's outside the simulation? There may be ways to test whether it's a simulation. There might be. I'm not saying there aren't. But you could certainly imagine that a simulation could correct that once an entity in the simulation found a way to detect the simulation, it could either restart pause the simulation, or start a new simulation, that then corrects that error.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. So let me know what you think below.
Is unlikely to reach a level of technological maturity capable of simulated realities, or such simulations are physically impossible to construct. 2. Comparable civilizations reaching aforementioned technological status will likely not produce a significant number of simulated realities, one that might not push the probable existence of digital entities beyond the probable number of real entities in a universe, for any of a number of reasons, such as diversion or computational processing power for other tasks, ethical considerations of holding entities captive in simulated realities. 3. Any entities with our general set of experiences are almost certainly living in a simulation. 4. We are living in a reality in which post-humans have not developed yet, and we are actually living in reality. Some speculate that simulations could have been created by an advanced artificial superintelligence or even an alien species. The truth, however, is completely unknown. Neil deGrasse Tyson also finds it hard to argue against the simulation hypothesis.
You look at our computing power today, and you say, I have the power
Only
to
a couple
program a
minutes
world
after this,
inside of
and
a
I'll
computer.
go put something else in.
Well, imagine in the future where you have even more power than that. You can create characters that have, for example, free will, or their own perception of free will. So this is a world, and I program in the laws that govern that world. That world will have its own laws of physics and chemistry and biology. Now you're a character in that world and you think you have free will and you say, I want to invent a computer, so you do. Hey, I want to create a world in my computer. And then that world creates a world in its computer. And then you have simulations all the way down.
Hey, what's up?
So now you lay out all these universes and throw a dart. Which of these universes are you most likely to hit? The original one that started it, or the countless simulations, the daughter simulations that unfolded thereafter? You're going to hit one of the simulations. So statistically, based on that argument, which first appeared by a philosopher from Oxford named Nick Bostrom back in the 1990s, right when computers were becoming real enough to think this through, it's hard to argue against the possibility that all of us are not just the creation of some kid in a parent's basement programming up the world for their own entertainment.
Thanks for watching.
Ladies, look at me. Now look at your man. Now look back at me. Now look at your man.
Neuralink, Elon Musk's brain chip company, recently pushed back on claims that it violated animal welfare laws a few years ago while testing on monkeys. This year, the company plans to test on human subjects. But when it does, what would this major step mean for brain implant science?
Academics like me have conducted clinical trials in people with brain implants.
Dr. Paul Niajukian is a professor of bioengineering and neurosurgery. He directs the brain interfacing laboratory at Stanford.
For about 20 years now. Academic research brain implants, up until this point, more or less, have almost exclusively been with wires. The difference that the N1 has, the Neuralink, it's fully implantable, it is battery powered, it is wireless. All of this is being done over the Bluetooth protocol.
Let's dive into the science behind Neuralink to understand how exactly human brain chips work.
Hey, how's
The
it going?
science behind how these implants work is not that different from how you would go about trying to measure the energy from a AA battery. It's the same principle that we're doing with these brain implants. This is called neuroelectrophysiological recording. When you move your arm to the right, certain sets of neurons are activated in a certain pattern. Listening in to that activity and that pattern, you can predict very quickly which direction the arm is going to move. These are the neurons that are directly wired to your muscle.
Unless that pathway from the brain to the spinal cord to the muscle is damaged.
It's talking about the neurochips that Elon Musk puts in people's brains now.
The way it is in patients with paralysis.
That pathway is damaged. Then the neural signals, the signals from the brain, aren't going to get down to move the muscles. But in many cases, the signals are still present in the brain. They're just not getting out. So if you reach in and put something that listens in.
Just listen to boring stuff, LOL. So how's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's having a great day. We're talking about AI versus human. Here's another good video.
One of these incredible AI answers shows what many experts believe is key to superintelligence. What's this?
Given the playful nature of the image, this could be a humorous video where the topiary figures come to life.
What's this?
Forced perspective
How's everybody doing
photography.
today?
The person in the image is actually lying on the ground.
What's this?
3D street art of a scarlet macaw in mid-flight. An optical illusion makes the bird appear to be flying out of the wall. The person's such as a robot wearing human-like accessories.
What's the advantage of this kind of robot?
The robot appears to be designed for materials transport.
Anyways, we're about
It
to
can
find
help
another
reduce
video.
injuries by handling heavy materials, work without breaks, and optimize space usage.
And what's this?
A humanoid robot, branded Tesla, is performing.
How about this one?
So, let's get straight into this. One of the first things I think that we're going to see is the rise of AI influencers and verification techniques. For instance, There is a Spanish influencer created entirely by AI that generates its modeling agency $9,000 a month with 200,000 followers on Instagram. Now, it might not seem to be an issue on consumer side, but if you're a creator on Instagram and you're spending so much time creating content for your followers, it might get a bit frustrating for you when you see these fake AI influencers getting so much engagement like this fake Spanish influencer. It also means that in the future, not only are there going to be AI influencers trying to earn money, but I do think that we are going to be seeing something where a large majority of the
which
internet
has already
isn't going to be
started.
real. For example, if I did see this person on
There
the
already
internet, I would
is
assume that
AI
with
woman
200,000
that's not
followers,
even
they are
real
real.
that has
Because of the rise of
a
AI
social
influencers where
media
people have
account that makes
around
money,
200,000
which
followers,
is
and it
pretty
isn't
wild to think
disclosed, I
about.
do believe that this is going to fundamentally change the internet. Because right now, on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, you could be an AI influencer without needing to disclose anything at all. There are no legal requirements, no European laws, and no digital laws that say you do. So, however, I do think that in the future, this is going to change. This is really important because if you remember several months ago, an image of Pope surfaced on Instagram, which everybody thought was real, but it was an AI image. Right now, there were so many things floating around on Instagram that
Yeah. Yeah.
we don't know what's real and what's fake. This is a real problem because for the average person like you and me, who's not in the media spotlight, we don't have an issue because our faces aren't plastered all over internet. However, for people who are famous, they continually get altered and their likenesses are used in these AI systems. So it's a real issue when these things happen. Now you might be thinking, okay, they're famous. They should have
Hey,
signed
what's
up for
up?
that.
How's it
That's what
going?
they signed up for. But think about this. Imagine you're a normal person with a small account, and then someone starts to use that technology to make you do something you haven't done and say things you haven't said.
Yeah,
Your
just
face might be
chilling.
used to promote
What are you
things
up
which
to?
are illegal, and it might get you into a lot of trouble. So this is going to affect a lot of regular people, and this is going to be a real issue. Take a look at this. This is a new AI-driven avatar animation, and you can see just how realistic this looks. And remember that this technology is only getting better, and the difference between real and fake is fading real fast. Now take a look at this. So here we have this AI product where essentially you just need a single image
Yeah,
and a
just
driving
chilling.
pose, and you can essentially make someone dance or make
Hell
them do
yeah,
pretty
nice.
much anything. So in the future, it is going to be difficult for social media platforms to verify a person's identity because a simple AI program would be able to fake anyone's identity. Now we move on to the next big thing we might get to see in 2024, and that is real-time text-to-speech. This specific AI will lead to lots of scams in 2024, but we'll come back to that later. Now, the problem with current text-to-speech is that a lot of the times it is limited in terms of how it sounds and how fast it is, but these systems are getting faster, the APIs are getting better, and the latency is getting shorter and shorter. So, what we're about to see here is PlayHT 2.0 Turbo, which is the fastest generative AI text-to-speech API. This essentially means that if someone back-engineered this, we could have real-time scams. Displayed, and the latency essentially just means y'all don't got arcade, y'all better get arcade. It has the best samples in the game.
Virtual instruments, samplers, it's pretty much everything in one.
Before I had Output Arcade, I wasted a lot of time looking for the right sound, and now that's just gone.
The ever-growing pool, well-produced sounds and custom kits have something truly unique and special in today's market.
It has such a wide variety of diverse sounds. Tons and tons of libraries of samples, all totally customized. Go, you're sampling. That is a plus.
Another thing that I really love about
Yeah, just been working my ass off. I'm off Wednesday and Thursday again, so we can do like some kind of streaming thing. Been using my hotspot to actually stream on my other phone.
What sense? Arcade apart from other tools.
I fully depend on a battery to live, so I guess I'm part of that. Maybe. What the
How
hell?
fast it responds to your message. So let's take a listen to this.
Hi there. I'm calling in regards to the purchase you made last week. Hello, Play Support speaking. Please hold on a sec. Let me just pull up your details real quick. Can you tell me your account email or your phone number?
What you just heard there just goes to show you how crazy this is. We got like 100 milliseconds response time in a simple message. So if you combine that with a model that's able to immediately read your message and is trained on thousands of persuasive scams to convince someone that's also trained on a voice of one of your relatives, that could be a serious, serious issue. The problem is, remember, you only need a couple of seconds of someone's voice to train a model that is exactly like yours. Some softwares can literally take 3 seconds of someone's voice and make them say
Oh, we got
absolutely
Rise Voting. I
anything.
just
So with
noticed that.
that being said, this is
Just
going to be a
noticed that.
real
Hell
issue in
yeah.
the future.
I was
And
looking
I'm
at
not
that
sure how
game.
we're going to combat this just yet. Now, future scammers
Hell
are
yeah.
going
Let
to
me
be
know when you
using
stream
AI
it.
technologies, and it's going to be really, really convincing. This is a huge problem because when you get an email, you easily ignore it thinking, okay, that's a dodgy email. But if you have a relative that messages you or is talking to you in real time on the phone and is saying you need to do this, you need to do that, how are you going to verify that? So 2024 is going to be a year full of AI scams. You better watch out for that. Now let's talk about the next important thing, and that is humanoid robots. With Tesla entering the robot industry, humanoid robots will be the biggest highlight of 2024. Take a look at this GR1 robot. This is the Unitree's humanoid robot, and according to some tech platforms, it is going to cost you around $80,000. Like you're seeing right here, he literally kicked the robot and it's still walking, it is able to balance itself, and that is a truly amazing feat. Now you're seeing he's giving it some real good kicks from the back too, and it's able to balance itself without falling apart. What we've achieved in the last 2 to 3 years in robot industry is crazy. Now imagine what we're going to achieve in the next 10 years. And we'll
Also
even
to
few
mention
years
that will
that we've
probably
been
be
watching all
police robots
kinds of
eventually.
robots from last 5 years, but they were all super expensive. But now with all these new companies entering the market, the
Yeah.
robot prices are coming down
It's gonna
really
be like
fast.
fucking
Now what's
Terminator.
even more interesting is
You're
that
gonna
these
know who's
robots will
real
be
or not.
combined with large language models like GPT, and of course, this is going to lead to some real-time conversations with these robots, which is going to be really incredible. And essentially in 2024, what's
Drop it,
probably going
punk.
to happen is we're going to have advanced robots moving at an
Drop it,
accelerated
punk.
pace because we have a platform called NVIDIA Omniverse, where you can basically get synthetic data through millions and millions of tries, and then you can use that synthetic data to train your own robot. Using NVIDIA Omni...
Yeah. It's a crazy thing. It's a crazy world we live in. I'm not sure what else am I playing. Maybe some. Maybe I'll play some mobile game and stream that instead. Well, I'm yeah, chilling right now. Probably make it a quick one. Jump off here. I'll watch you stream or something. Hell yeah. Yeah, well, you never know. People already do some weird stuff. Dun dun dun. Till next time, Mockman Stories. Alright, I'll hit you up in a sec.